All right, welcome back Under the Rug, and thank you for joining us for this very, very special edition. As you can see, we are not at home today, Gail. We are in this nice, clean, fancy office today.
Air-conditioned.
In the air-conditioned, nice lighting in the OAS building. And we are here to discuss a very, very, very important topic that we deal with, especially in this country.
We're going to thank Ms. Ambika Ramin Cooper for letting us use this nice building.
Yes, thank you so much. And that beautiful voice that you're hearing is Latara Evans, and she is with the Pan American Development Foundation. She is the country coordinator, and she has with her Mrs. Nyisha Tilus, who is Miss University of the Bahamas, which I didn't even know there was a Miss University of the Bahamas pageant.
Yes.
So welcome.
Hold on, you said Mrs. He married you.
No, I say Miss. Right? I say Miss. I married this one off. Now,
Okay.
couple of weeks ago, I tried to marry someone off, but not this one. So we have Miss Nyisha Tilus, who is the Miss, like I said, Miss University of the Bahamas. What exactly does Miss University of the Bahamas do? What does that title entail?
So essentially, I'm the ambassador for the University of the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
One of the leaders, I would be helping with recruiting high school students to the College of University of the Bahamas, and just showing them all of the wonderful things that the university has to offer, opposed to just going abroad, which is our thing when we have our hidden treasure right here.
Awesome. Okay, so ladies, now, like I told you before we get started, this is your show. Now, I personally have your
contribution to make.
Yes, I've experienced it as well. As I'm sure someone, or probably everyone, has experienced some level of domestic violence in their lifetime, which is rather unfortunate. But it's a reality that we have to deal with in this country. And like I said, personally, I grew up with violence in the household. Right. Father was not the best growing up. Right. He's turned around his life now. He's a pastor now. He's got himself together. But back in the day, he had some issues that he was dealing with back in the day, and he took it out on my mother in ways that we don't like people to do. Yeah. So and I never spoken about it before publicly, but yes, I have experienced domestic violence in my household.
To do so, thank you.
I mean, but we have to. It's the only way we can eradicate it, by having the actual discussions. We got to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't want to speak about it. You don't hear this topic being discussed on many shows, but it's very serious. And so, tell us what led you to.
Okay, I want to introduce the program first.
Go right ahead.
The Pan American Development Foundation is currently running the program called W.I.N.D, Women's Initiative for Nonviolence and Development. This program has several objectives. One being our focus is the training of police officers, and basically making sure that they are able to respond to victims of domestic violence appropriately, refer them to the right agencies that are able to offer essential services that they're in need of. And in doing this, what we have done is brought stakeholders together. This would be the Crisis Center. This would be the Ministry of Social Services. This would be the judiciary, of course. And so all of these partners are talking. The police is talking to the Crisis Center. They're talking to the judges. And, they're listening to each other as to what it is that you need from us in order to make sure that when this victim comes to the court, that they have what they need in order to ensure a successful prosecution of their cases, as well as, the crisis centers, they're providing assistance where necessary. And, they too depend on the police for vital information that can assist them in supporting victims of domestic violence. There is a community component to this program as well. We've been in the community of Cat Island for some time. And Cat Island has identified domestic violence as an issue that they're dealing with. Wow. And they have put together and brought forward suggestions and initiatives that they want to see happen within their community. And so we are working along with the community there to ensure that their initiatives and their ideas are brought to fruition. Another component is, of course, what we're doing here today, raising awareness. We're talking about this. I personally believe that we have to continue to talk about it. It can't be something that we're just going to highlight during the 16 days of activism that we have going on now. Okay. That started November 25th and it's going to run until December 10th. Okay. So within those 2 weeks, you have organizations. We've partnered with all of them and trying to raise awareness. But, there's hope that we raise the awareness to the point where we're talking about this every day. We're discussing it. It's no longer a secret. It's not a secret to be had any longer. Lives are at stake, and we can't afford to keep secrets.
No.
So that's basically the program in a nutshell. And raising awareness is so important for us in that, our focus is the youth. Statistics show that we have that 1 in 3 women would have experienced abuse over the course of their life.
Seems low.
No, that's not low. That's high. 1, 2, 3.
At
One of
least
us.
one.
I thought it would have been at least 2, to be honest with you.
No, that is very, very
it's
high.
it's bad, but I mean...
And then remember, there are other forms of abuse as well that go unreported.
Okay.
Let's take, for instance, rape, sexual abuse.
Yes.
You understand? That goes unreported all the time. And so the numbers are higher than what we have before us.
Right.
Because people they're afraid for whatever reasons. The services aren't there. They don't have trust in the ability of those who have been entrusted to help them, that they're able to do so.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people suffer in silence, and people go through very traumatic experiences and things, and they carry that throughout their lives. So this has been, domestic violence has been declared a national health issue, which it is. When you sit down and you think about it, when you affect the family so drastically, so dramatically, what happens? Are you building strong people? You have scarred, you have traumatized people who are now you're expecting to go on and be contributing members of society. That just can't happen. They could contribute, but you're not going to get the best.
Valuable contribution.
Exactly. So,
but I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier. You said working with the police to deal with domestic violence issues. Are we having issues with police not being adequately trained when it comes to dealing with domestic violence?
No, it's not adequately trained. Anything you have to have ongoing training.
Can you give us some examples of where police the police intervention could have been better, certain
no,
situations?
Because we don't know. What our job is to ensure happens is that once you call the police, they are able to listen, discern, and make the choices that will keep everyone safe in that particular moment. So what we are basically trying to do, a lot of times what we're finding is that, you need reminders. And police are like everyone else. They have a lot to deal with. They may have heard this subject mentioned during their entry into the police college, and they haven't heard it since.
Right.
So we want to continuously remind them that, hey, this is out there. This is what physical abuse looks like. This is what sexual abuse entails. This is what emotional and psychological abuse looks and feels like. So there's nothing wrong with reminders.
Yeah.
And the police are subject to that all the time, and we hope and we want that to be the case, because then that means they're up to date on whatever information is out there. They have in their arsenal to offer assistance for those in need.
But do you find sorry, go ahead, Gail.
We usually speak with a teacher. I don't want to put her on blast right now, but we have a teacher that we have done a show with before who has mentioned certain things. She's actually commenting now, and I just wanted to find out if you are partnering with any high schools or anything like that.
Well, it's thank you. Is that Erin?
Yeah. I'll just read her comment before
Yes,
you
go
comment.
ahead.
She said, especially in the school system, I've never been exposed to more rape and sexual assault than as a teacher.
Right.
The police disregarded 2 instances of rape that involved my students because the mother said her good child always home.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think the police disregard it, okay? We have to be very careful how we comprehend and how we go ahead and disseminate this information, repeat the information. There are a lot of moving parts to these situations, and to get a handle on all of them at times proves to be a big challenge that at times, yes, maybe we're not up to. So I would say that we have reached out to Lionel Sands. He would be the person that I was directed to contact to gain entry into the schools. However, I understand that at the beginning of the term, we did lose some days as a result of the hurricanes.
Okay.
And they've been trying to get those back. I understand that. And so getting me in there and the time is not always the best.
Okay.
However, I continue and I will persist. So far, I've gained entry into schools, but mostly primary schools, which is good.
Right.
Because you want them at the age of 15. When I go into schools and high schools and I give out a survey, and the question we ask, one of the questions it asks is that, have you been a victim of sexual assault or any type of abuse? The answer is yes. So working now with the primary school kids, it's hoped that in the next 5 years, when we ask this question again, the answer will be no.
More proactive.
Exactly. So we're wanting to start younger and younger. We've been into the high schools on the islands. Of course, it's easier to gain access there. Cat Island, Exuma, and Long Island. We're just working with those islands to get there and to continue to reach the children in those communities, as well as here in Nassau. So if schools are willing and able to get me in there, I'm there. Awesome. That's not a problem. And we're meeting with community groups as well. We have community groups in the form of one called NOAB and other groups that get kids together for us. We worked closely with the National Crime Prevention Unit as well as Urban Renewal, and they bring children to me here at this office, and we facilitate them in the conference room next door, and we raise awareness and we educate. We get feedback, like what's going on, what's happening. You'll be shocked and stunned as to the conditions some of these kids have been exposed to. Some of them are having to live under, and it's real. It's a challenge. This is not an issue that is going to go away.
No.
We have to keep at it. And like so many problems, that's all you can do. Because it's very difficult to change people's attitude and perceptions, especially when you've been holding on to them your entire life.
Culture is one of the most difficult things to change. And before we get to Nyisha's story, because I want to get to that, I want to ask, speaking on culture, do you find this culture of I ain't getting in that? And it's not just with, friends, family, but with the police force as well. Like, do they look at these domestic violence issues as, listen, that's them? I ain't
No.
Really?
No. Listen, the police has a mandate, to serve and protect. Having worked with them over the last several months, I am very impressed. By their level of commitment, but also at the same time, they have a lot of challenges, in meeting those needs, meeting the needs of society, especially one that's troubled and plagued at times as much as we are. It's a challenge. And we have to be realistic. We cannot lay the blame fully on the police. We cannot lay the responsibility fully on the police. Right. We need the community.
But that's not what we're doing. What I'm just asking is, do you see instances of, and this is why some people may not want to report because they feel as though nothing is going to be done about it. Because a lot of people tend to stay out of other people's affairs.
That is definitely a belief that a lot of people hold. However, I find that in this society where we share everything, where we post everything, that can't be the attitude anymore. Because you sharing people's business, you liking and commenting about people's business. So no.
But people that share other people's business.
Yeah, but they ain't sharing their own. They talk about their own.
They ain't sharing their own business.
So, well, it is hoped by raising awareness that we all start to remember. Okay, see, we get lost in Nassau. A lot of people, yes, were born here in Nassau, in the city. So maybe their sense of community has somehow been diminished. The family islanders that come here, they still have that. And I'll tell you a story. When I moved into the neighborhood that I currently live in, the first question they asked me, you from the island, eh? I was like, yeah.
You're going to go hail everybody.
Because I knock on everybody's door. And my neighbor to this day, she'll tell me that woman has used all my pump water, my tap water to clean her car. Because I just pull up, I drag a hose, and she's like, what you doing? I said, cleaning my car. And she was like, you have your own pump. I'm like, with yours in the front. Mine in the back, I can't get there. And so we need to hold on to that. I think that is a welcome, and it's a welcomed attitude, and it's refreshing. We need to remind ourselves who we are as a people and what we are made of. This is not our best selves. No. We're not showing that when we engage in this type of behavior. So it helps to have people who can check you, so to speak.
For sure.
We spoke about the physical aspect of it and maybe the legal aspect of it. But in terms of the mental aspect of the results of abuse, what is the organization doing to assist with that psychological or mental aspect?
When we meet with the officers, our panel always consists of a psychologist. Currently, we have Dr. Ferrer from Sandilands Rehabilitation Center and Dr. Barrington Brennan, helping police to understand the psychological impact on a victim of abuse for however many years. it rewires the brain. Things that you would have normally thought you knew was wrong, all of a sudden now you're accepting it. You don't see it. So when people are being stressed and being exposed to negative situations on a daily basis, yes, it's a beat down, it's an emotional exhaustion, and it translates into psychological just damage. So the only way you can address that is once you would have come forward, identify what it is that you personally have been going through, then seek help. People are out there who are willing and able to help. The Crisis Center offers psychological and emotional support for victims of domestic violence. I don't know if we need to go into the different types of violence, the physical abuse, the slapping, the punching.
Oh yeah, we can get into that. Yeah. But I won't give Nyisha the floor now. She's been a little quiet in the corner, just sitting there with a pretty smile. Let's hear this compelling story now. Take it away.
So I am from Abaco.
Okay.
And Miss University of the Bahamas. My platform was mental health awareness, and that coming from the aspect of my mother being a victim of domestic violence and me having to watch that my entire life, really. And having 4 little brothers that had to watch that as well. And living in a community that felt like it wasn't their business.
Right. There you go.
And not that it wasn't their business, but it was only so much that they could have done, because at the end of the day, she had a lot of psychological trauma, and she's been conditioned to believe that this is the person that she needs for security. She has 4 kids with this person, etc. So this is the person that she's supposed to be with, and this person is telling her that, who's gonna want you with 4 kids, where you going, you ain't working, you're not this, you're not that. So it was a lot going on for her mentally, and that was something that I wanted to highlight, because persons saw different physical ailments, but they healed. You see a scar, but it was still a lot more going on mentally, internally, that nobody really knew about, and it wasn't something that I spoke about. So I would watch this. I would try to help. I'm the oldest child. So I'm not a boy. So it's like I always wanted to be a boy, because I felt like if I was a boy, I could have done a lot more. I needed to be stronger, or whatever the case may be. And but it just got worse. It got really, really bad. To the point where I wanted to die, really, because it's like it's not stopping. It's not stopping, and for the simplest reason, and for him it may be justified because I say to do this, but I would miss days from school, like as punishment. I would not go to school or get cut up, or whatever you want to call it in our society, but or both, and it was crazy. It was crazy, and persons knew, and they would try to tell her, okay, this isn't a situation that you need to be in. I remember she had she had my 3rd brother. He has Down syndrome, and she had a few complications with that pregnancy, and I think a month in, they got into an altercation, and he kicked her in the stomach, and it caused all kinds of internal issues. She found out she had cancer later down the line. It was a lot going on, and with that, she was still being abused physically, emotionally, like it psychologically. It was a lot going on, and I just was watching my mother dwindle away, because it wasn't the person that I knew. And as much as I would say, well, we can do this, I got you, we could do it, I'll help, I'll get a job, I'll do this, I'll do that. And it got to a point where I can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. So I ran away at I ran away at the age of 17 going on 18, because I had it. I'm like, I can't help me and you, because it's like none of us were not making any headway at all, because you're still in the situation. You don't feel like you can do it. I feel like we can do it. If you don't believe me, the only way you're gonna believe me is if you see me doing it, and then you can that was my thought process at that time. So what had happened was he told me to leave my job, My stepdad told me to leave my job. I just graduated from high school.
Oh, this was the stepdad that was the abuser.
Yes.
This isn't your biological father.
I don't have a relationship with my biological father. So I considered him
Your father.
Yeah, this is the person that I kind of basically knew.
So you were, he's only your stepfather. Your other siblings, he's their father.
Their father,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So he told me to quit my job. I remember that because he felt as though I wasn't being paid enough. But he didn't know that I had my check split in half so I can like save some to like help out, and then because he would take everything.
What?
Like he would take everything, and then it was a funny situation, and I didn't have any control.
Well?
Yeah, he was making money, so I was trying to figure out like what's going on. Like, why do you need my little thing?
Right.
Like, you know. Yeah. So it was a lot going on, and he felt like I wasn't making enough, so he told me to quit my job. So I was sneaking around working, and he didn't know because I still needed, like, I had a plan. Like I needed this to work out, and I needed money for it to work out. And I remember one day she called me and she said that he's on his way home. And I worked like downtown, and I lived like 2-3 settlements away. No car, nothing. So I had to figure out how in the world am I going to get from home, like to work, from work to home before him, because it's going to be a problem.
Oh boy.
If he catches you there.
Yeah. So I just started walking, locked up the shop, started walking. And that's something I love about the family island. Everybody knows everybody. So as soon as I got down the corner, caught a ride. As soon as I pulled up in the backyard, he was pulling up in the front yard. Wow. I dashed in, threw on a t-shirt, lied in my bed. And I remember that point was when I was like, I can't like this ain't working out. It's not working out. And it's like, you're seeing me do all of this, and I'm like, I'm doing this for us. Like, I need you to like get on board. Like, and it's not like she didn't want to. Like, you saw little strides, because she would leave, but she would go back. You saw that she wanted to, but it was so much more attached. Yeah, it was a lot.
Because she's psychologically bruised, abused. She's think he has a believe in his story.
She's been with this person since she was 13. So
wow. So
like,
that's abuse.
Yeah, so it's a lot, you know, and he's cheating on her, and it's just blatant, and it's like it's a lot going on.
Oh, but you said she's been with this person from she was 13. When did she have you?
Oh, he went off to school. He went off to school in Nebraska, and that's when I came. And then he came back, and then they got back together.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I ask, if you don't mind, you could let me know if you don't feel comfortable answering, but the relationship with your mother during that time, how was it affected by the abuse or what you were seeing? What I'm asking is, you know, mothers are supposed to be nurturing, or they're supposed to protect and everything, and in that mental state, she was unable to be that for you. Did you have any resentment toward her for that? Did you? Okay. I don't know if you want to.
I did. It was. I don't even know how to describe it, because I had to take on that role. So I don't really even consider myself like having an actual childhood, because I didn't really have that. And, you know, for a while, I'm like, you're supposed to be this person for me. Like, and you aren't that person for me. But I got over it after a while.
Did you ever have like conversations with her?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I can say like we're okay. Yeah, and we got over it because I spoke to her. I remember when she found out that she had cancer, that's when I ran away. So we weren't even talking when I ran away, because I remember they had my passport, and I was trying to find a new job. And they had my passport, and they didn't want to give me my passport. And it's a government, you know. So it was government property. So they didn't want to give it to. He didn't want to give it to me. He did not want to give it to me because he paid for it. I'm like, you're taking all my money, so technically I paid for it. But, you know, it was a whole lot going on, and it was crazy. They didn't give it to me. And it was where I went to the police. Police came with me. They came with me and everything, but it was like, okay, she's the person that's responsible for me. So he's not going to get the flack. She's going to get the flack. Yeah. So I took that L, and I reported it stolen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
got
another one. But even with that, even with going through the process, he had all of our documentations. So even with getting her stuff, so I had to like sneak around, because I would need her birth certificate, different things like that. And I'm like, like jumping through windows to go in bags to get copies and stuff, and it was crazy.
Were you ever exposed to members of his immediate family? Something that may have given you, I guess, a clue as to why he was like that?
And actually, that's why I'm studying psychology, because I've always just kind of that's that link. But in terms of his immediate family, the only person I would have had contact with was his mother. But he didn't grow up with his mother. He grew up with another person in the community who he calls his mother.
There's resentment there.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a cycle.
That anger, that build up, that frustration, that lack of ability to understand or to perceive what had happened with that relationship, and him not being able to process it. So there's a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot behind abusive relationships.
Yes.
It goes deep. There are layers.
And we rarely ever get to it because we tend not to have those conversations with our parents. Because I remember, I think it was Larry Elder, who went for a long time resenting his father. Hated him most of his life. Until he decided to go and confront him, and actually had a 3-4 hour conversation with him, getting to know what his father went through, and he had a better understanding of why his father was the way he was.
Yeah.
And we tend not to have those conversations. You know what I mean?
Don't.
And so I want to ask, in those conversations you have, what was the thing that was keeping her in this abusive situation? Did she ever explain why, or did that ever come out in those conversations that you had after the fact?
It would be my little brothers mainly, because I moved out eventually, so I wasn't really an issue per se. But my little brothers not being able to be with their dad or being in that household with their dad because it was something that she didn't have. Aside from
so she just wanted a father, even if it was an abusive father, just that figure.
And then with that, she was sexually abused as a child as well. So it was
a lot.
It was a lot going on with her, which made her just internalize everything because she internalized that incident because nobody knew about it until I was 15. It's been the first time she actually spoke out about it. I'm not sure when it happened to her, but it was when she was a child. So just based off of that incident and her internalizing those things, when issues started arising, things happened, she started internalizing everything else. Because that was her defense mechanism. That was her way of coping and dealing with things, was just taking it all in.
I think a lot of mothers and women don't speak out about the trauma that they've experienced, and I feel like every woman has a story in terms of abuse, harassment, anything like that. And I've noticed a lot of mothers kind of, like you say, internalize it, where they don't even tell these stories to their children to understand, again, maybe how to deal with it. And then also you can't relate. If you experience something, I'm not saying you personally, but if you experience something, you can be surprised how much support or how much love you'll be able to receive from a mother figure, knowing that they've had a similar experience. So I feel like a lot of Bahamian women especially and men do not talk about it. As we've mentioned, as you said, it's a secret.
And because it's embarrassing. You're dealing with a very sensitive topic to begin with, especially if it's sexual. You have violated that person's core of who they are. Remember, our parents spend a lot of time trying to, good parents, trying to instill self-esteem and confidence. There's a reason for that. So that you can grow up then to become some kind of, a contributing member of society, a positive one. And so when that is attacked, when that is broken down, when that is just taken away from you, then what is left? So you end up with hurt people, really hurt people. And so how do you move forward from that? So abuse is destructive in all its forms, whether it's emotional, psychological, verbal, sexual, financial abuse. A lot of people don't realize what that is. I remember I had a group of kids, and I said to him, I said to the group, I said, do you know if, your dad gives your mom $100 to the store, what she can get one? The kids raised his hand, and he said, I'm so sorry to laugh. It was so funny. He said, only she can get with us spaghetti and ramen noodles. You understand? But that's a form of abuse. You have 4 kids, and you can give me $100 to go to the food store. Come on.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to buy for these kids to sustain them for the rest of the week? You know,
right?
You sending your kids to school without lunch. Yes, granted, we have a lot of persons in this community at the present time who are going through very difficult circumstances, and the Ministry of Social Services does provide a lunch program. But once again, you know, we have kids who are being denied lunch money to buy lunch, snacks in their bags, you know, for as punishment and just just very, very wrong things. Yes, wrong reasons. You know, and financial abuse in relationships. You know, you're married, you're supposed to be married to this person, but yet he hiding assets, he got bank accounts you don't know about, she dealing things you don't know about.
Or when they use it as leverage to try and control you in some way.
Exactly, because remember, abuse is always about power and control.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it goes, there are many facets to it. Like I said, there are layers to abuse, and then, you know, of course, now with our young people today, we have digital going on, digital abuse. The kids are like, what that is? They pick up a phone, and I'm like, the minute you post something or you share something with two people engaged in any kind of indecency, whether it be sex, whether it be fighting, whether it be verbal, you know, they're fighting, cussing out one another, that's a form of abuse. You're abusing the persons who are doing it even more by spreading that.
Yes.
And I always tell them, there's acronym, think.
Okay.
Before you post, you like, or you comment on anything. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it interesting? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And if you can answer no to any one of those, don't do it. And then we're trying to get them to appreciate too that what you do now will follow you.
Definitely.
You know, that's a digital imprint. Yes. And so you could come in for a job 5 years later. You might have been the best candidate for that position. They loved you. However, when you leave that room, you best believe that they go now and they do their background check and all of that. All the nastiness you would have spread, all the comments you would have made, all of the pictures you would have posted, compromising or not, they have.
But you know what? A lot of the kids are living in the now. They're not thinking.
Yes, that's the teenage brain for you now. It's very
it's a
have access to more now.
Yeah,
because I think we were like that, you know, growing up as teenagers. We were living in the now, but we didn't have as much access, I think, to a public audience as these children.
And then too, I think there's less controls in the homes.
Oh yeah,
you know, and there's less control of that phone. You know, I went into a community and a lot of the kids had these awesome phones. They had $700 phones. You know, I fight with my Alcatel. They have $700 phones.
I didn't get a phone until 12.
And later, thank you. And later that evening, I went to the PTA meeting for the parents, and I said, "Show me your phones." Half the parents didn't even have phones.
Wow.
I'm like, why are you buying the $700 phone for the kid and you sitting here with nothing? I say, how are you able to monitor your child? There's no supervision. You leave your children to be molded, to be influenced, to be taken advantage of by the world. That's what you're doing. The responsibility has left your hands and is now in everybody else's. That's the issue.
Very much so.
You know, because I believe if parents at times are their children's friends on Facebook, and the minute they post something, you could check them on that. What the heck is this? Why are you liking this? Who is this? You ask the questions. You have a right. You're still the parent.
Right.
You still got to take care of this person till, you know, these during the days. They don't never leave.
Yeah, they don't.
They'll never marry.
Boy, look at some of my uncles. But anyway, I can leave that. You wanted to read one.
Two comments. One from Carlon Neely.
Yes, I saw.
He says, why do police disregard males who come in to file a complaint against an abusive female? If a man takes matters into his own hands, he lock up. If he comes to file a complaint the proper way, he's totally turned away and laughed out of the door with no resolution. So for males, it seems like a lose-lose situation.
And it does. I mean, we're not focusing on the males. They don't address Colin. I agree with everything you said. It's a major problem.
Because that goes right back now to our perceptions. Our males are supposed to be strong. Our males are supposed to be the protectors, not the perpetrators. So when they come in as the victim, we now have to readjust our thinking on what we've been taught.
And that's a challenge.
It is a challenge. You know, because if a grown man to come out and say, this woman been beating me with this pot, or this woman beat me with a belt, or this woman have me down on the ground, this woman got me sleeping on the floor, this woman, I went into a community, the man said he'd been working for years, now he's out of work. Now she have him sleeping on the floor, and he can't even go in the fridge and get water because you ain't buy it.
Yep.
He's come. Yes, he went to the police station. I think he said 2 or 3 times, and they laughed at him the first time, but he said the second time, they were like, there's an issue here. And it is the truth. And once again, we have to continuously raise awareness.
Yes.
On your point,
continuously talk about it.
On your point of being strong, just wanted to read another comment from Mr. Ferguson, Gail and Greg. Discussions like these have to be diverse conversation on both ends. When discussions like these happen, all you hear is men fault, men are the abusers. Don't worry about that. This is what caused generation and generation of conditioning, where males are abused by women but taught to be strong. I watched a mother kick, slap, and punch a young child, but we say that is the mother. But if the father does it, it's a different story. Psychology is definitely needed in this country. We are unaware of what is right and wrong on both sides.
I agree. And I mean, we could do a whole show when it comes to the male aspect.
We're discussing women today, guys.
Like I say, this one is
remember now, the name has somehow taken a shift in that we're calling gender-based violence, because we've realized men and women are exposed to this type of behavior, as well as people in same-sex relationships. All relationships have issues.
So why do we categorize it, right? Why do we? And I said earlier, I wanted to talk domestic violence. Do you think that kind of softens the term up a bit?
No,
like saying domestic violence, because
meaning in the home. That's what domestic was at the time, and it came up with because we saw it happening in homes, in households, and families. Thus the term domestic. However, now we've changed it, or we've upgraded in that it's now gender-based. Okay, so it's all gender. It's male, it's female, it's persons involved in same-sex relationships, it's transgender persons involved in relationships. It's everybody. We don't want to exclude anyone, because we recognize violence affects all of these individuals.
I think some people, when you say gender-based violence, I think they then create a divide, and they think you're speaking of a specific gender.
No.
When you say gender-based, and I'm not saying that's what it is.
No.
I'm saying the interpretation of many may be that is, because when I heard gender-based violence, a lot of times
what gender does it say there? When you say gender.
No, I agree. But you got to understand is this one thing when you put something out, but perception is another thing. And for most people, their perception is their reality. And so if something is being perceived a certain way, to them, that's what it is. Even though you may have a completely different intent for it, the way they perceive it may be completely different. So I'm just asking us to the origin of that particular term as to why that was used, because I know a lot of people that feel as though when they say gender-based violence, although you don't say a specific gender, they then
assume that it's female.
Being a certain gender.
I think it's the same with domestic, though. Because once you say domestic,
you immediately think about women. So this is why we're having this discussion, and we're being very centered on trying to raise awareness, because we realize it affects all people, everyone. If you are in a relationship and violence is a component of your relationship, then you are included in this. So it's meant to not exclude anyone.
Right.
Okay, moving forward. For that reason, now we have gender-based violence. It's what we're finding out now these days. Like I'm saying here in some of the comments, yes, we hear you. Men have been. They are and continue to be victims of domestic violence, but we need people to speak out. We need brave persons like Nyisha to come out and tell their stories. You don't know who you're going to be helping. You don't know who's going to hear your story and try to be, and make some difference in their life. Like I said before, what we also need to be focusing on as well is our teenagers. Because she said that her parents, your stepdad and your mom were together since they were 13. That is really young. And think about it. You're 13 years old. You're in a relationship. You're beginning to be a pubescent teenager, if you will. Your mind is starting to go through, and your body, all those changes. How are you processing all of this? So we know children are dating. We know that, we have a whole section on teen dating violence. We know they're engaging in sexual behavior. We know that they have boyfriend and girlfriend and, vice versa. So we have to address it. But moving forward, we want to help them to see what healthy looks like. Mm-hmm. Let them know what a healthy relationship is supposed to feel like, as opposed to what an unhealthy one looks like and what it feels like. Mm-hmm. It's very, very important that children go into these discussions, or even adult relationships when they become adults, with a positive, healthy mindset of themselves, mm-hmm. first of all, and knowing what can happen to me, what I will allow to happen to me, mm-hmm. and what I will not stand for. Mm-hmm. We got to start teaching our girls that, look, this is where I draw the line. Mm-hmm. You touch me once, that's it.
That's really important.
Yeah. You understand?
Really, really mm-hmm. important.
Yeah. You can't, this is not love. Love does not hurt.
Well, I want to see, that's the thing. Because to be honest, we lay a foundation of abuse, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people disagree with me, but anybody that knows me that knows that this is what I'm going to fight for until I die. But as long as we continue to beat children, mm-hmm. we will continue to have these violent issues. And you see, she doesn't disagree. She doesn't suck her teeth.
I suck my teeth.
Let me explain, right? And it's just pure logic, common sense, right? If you set a foundation of violence, that this is what you do to control someone or get your way, mm-hmm. which is what parents do with their children when they beat them, right? When you have already set that foundation and someone has been conditioned to mm-hmm. endure this treatment for their entire lives, then you expect them, when they get into a relationship, this is what I say with women all the time, I don't understand how people call, oh, she's so stupid, why she don't leave that man, he beating her up all the night. Well, if she grew up in a household where the people that are supposed to love her most are the ones beating her, when she gets into this adult relationship, this is a similar situation. Mm-hmm. She is conditioned that, listen, people, it's okay for people that love you
to hit you. Okay, let me address this, Greg.
Can I make a quick point as well? Aside from, that, just watching that too, social learning theory, just being able, continuously seeing that, and you're programmed to that, and that's something with my little brother. This is something they've been seeing. Mm-hmm. So just because you've been seeing it so much, and you haven't seen your mother defend herself, I don't want y'all to feel like it's okay mm-hmm. to go do that to another young lady, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. So outside from just being constantly beaten, mm-hmm. constantly seeing it as well. Mm-hmm. Something else.
Greg, I know of people who share your beliefs, and I always when was it, on Tuesday, I went in and I spoke with kids from academia, Marjorie Davis, and another school that I can't remember at the time. So all in all, there was like 81 of them, little kids between the ages of, let's say, 6 and 11. Mm-hmm. I believe children I'm of the old school, the old adage, we need discipline. Children need discipline.
Spare the rod.
And remember,
spare the rod and you spoil the child.
Before you go forward, let's make a distinction now.
Now this is me talking, no?
There's a difference between discipline and beating.
Hold on, this is what I'm about to tell you.
Discipline is to teach.
Hold on, and so, right. All right. And so this is what I say to them. You and I, we all know when we've crossed the line as adults. Children know when you have crossed the line as an adult. There's a sense and there's a shift in attitude. The air becomes different and all. You know when your mommy pick up the broom to hit you with, oh no, just crossing the line.
But see, that's the thing.
Hold on.
People have different lines.
Hold on.
People have different lines.
This is true. But most of those children, they told me, when mommy pick up the antidote to that is anytime you have to hit a child with an object, you're done.
Your hand is an object,
You're done. No, that's spanking.
Okay, so
yes, we can, as children get older, we can take things away from them when they are able to understand as means of punishment. However, we live in a society where we have been spanking children for years. And this is what you're saying. This is a problem.
This is why we are here. This is what
you believe that, but I don't.
So that's the thing. This is what that is manifested.
I believe we're here because we don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to communicate to each other. We just got through saying, people have been traumatized from early on. Nobody ever got it out. Nobody ever talked about
because they're not allowed to.
You understand? That's not. I don't think they're not allowed to. I just believe
not allowed to express themselves in this country.
I just believe
the way parents interact with their children.
Yeah.
When I do this, you sit down, you shut up,
because
you take
I said
it.
so.
You
no,
don't
hold on, that's changed because I'm 40 years old. I have 2 children. I have a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. I talk to them about everything.
Okay.
They talk to me about everything.
And that's wonderful.
So yes. I'm of the opinion and the view that I know that this doesn't happen all the time, but I believe our millennials communicate differently, and if you ask me, a little better than their parents. Some maybe a generation ago. So that helps in bringing us forward in being able to sit down and resolve conflict, being able to sit down and talk to each other, you would hope. But because of the fact that years ago, they weren't allowed, or for some reason, remember now, abuse is about power and control. Children and persons who've been abused were meant to believe that this is your fault, this is a secret, this is you can't tell anybody. So that carries weight for that individual, and for that reason, without therapy, they probably would never come forward and say it. But when we know that they need to. I understand you're of the view that we have a culture of violence and that we be spanking our children and be beating our kids. But I also believe that, yes, there are boundaries and people do cross them. But at the same time, I still believe that children need guidance. Children need discipline. And like you said, discipline teaches. So there are ways in which we can address that. We go about doing that. So I won't say that I strictly and totally believe that that's what it is. My parents had 9 kids on an island. I wouldn't say we got beaten regularly. When we did something, you got spanking. That was it. I can remember one time I got spanking, and I deserved that because I was wrong, and I knew I was wrong. You know what I mean?
But you hear, right?
Exactly.
So what you just said is what I've heard a lot of grown women say in those same relationships.
What?
I deserve that.
As a child, I knew I deserved because I was wrong.
But what I'm saying is,
I knew I was wrong, and that I took my brother out of the house when I was told not to. And when I took him, he went and got into an altercation with another boy that resulted in the boy almost coming out his head.
Yeah, we're trying to say. What I'm saying is.
But I was a child. I wasn't a woman when I said that.
But I'm not saying that you were.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that very sentiment, that very thing.
Oh, what they say now as adults?
It translates into their adult lives. They take that with them. That's why you hear the women say, "Oh, well, I deserve it. I shouldn't have do this."
Or
and
try
this
to
is
justify.
why he hit me. Try to justify the person hitting on them because it comes from someone they love. You see, it's a cognitive dissonance that we are struggling with in this country.
Yes, it is.
And we must deal with that. And this is why we justify and accept so much wrongdoings.
I agree.
You understand? It's because of the people that are perpetrating it are people that we love. So it has to be something that I could use to justify this because this person loves me. And this is the foundation that we lay. And this is why I think a lot of women stay in these rough situations because they've been conditioned to. Go ahead.
So just a point in reference to you saying classifying these as people that you love. And sometimes that's not really the case because you're looking for that love or trying to fill that void, and you're taking that, translating that as love and staying because you think it's love or you feel okay, or that void, you're not feeling it as much. So you're classifying it as love and then justifying because, okay, I'm filling that void.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
You also wanted to discuss, I think, types of abuse or detailing the types of abuse.
We have.
Would you like to go through that now?
For the teenagers especially. Okay, remember, abuse is about power and control. Okay, it's never good. Anytime you're in a relationship with a young man or young woman, and they're intending to isolate you at any opportunity they get, isolating you from friends, from family, from doing activities that you may have once engaged in, it's a form of abuse. That's a problem. We're heading down the dark road. Isolating means then you have no one to talk to. You have no friends. you're not going to be able to reach out as easily as you would had, the situation been normal. He's making all of your decisions. He's jealous all the time, and he's using it to justify why he's hitting you. I love you. You know better than that. Love, nobody love me. You hit me like this. You slapping me, blood coming up my mouth. You blackening my eye. I have bruising in my body. I can barely move. You know better. Okay, but these are the things that they use to justify, he's justifying his actions. He's always wanting to be with you. Yeah, in that initial stage, you're in love. Yeah. But see, healthy relationships, and parents need to be aware. Your teenager has a life. Are they engaged in other activities? If so, you keep those going. When you see them now starting to pull away from that without any reason, they're physically well to continue to participate, but yet you see a withdrawing from those activities, you need to take notice. Ask questions. What's going on? This boy calling my house all the time. That's not healthy. There's a game we play. I do hit a buzzer. They write your name. Try to write your name before I ring the buzzer. And if you cannot, then that is abuse. That's how many times he's calling you. That's who you with, where you is, why you out, why you not answering me. You understand? Yeah, those are the whys, the whens. They love to ask them. But parents, we can never downgrade their participation in this. They have to be aware of what's happening with their children. He's using threatening or violent behavior with your child, or she is using violent and threatening behavior with your child, using put down and the dirty looks, and you're stupid, the verbal abuse, you're crazy, you're dumb. You see your child used to go out one time looking all spunkadocious. Nah.
Wait, what the word was?
Spunkadocious. Yeah, spunkadocious. Makeup, what do they say now?
Fleek.
Fleek.
I didn't think that Barcelona.
Or slay?
Yeah, she slayed.
Snatch.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden,
y'all sound old.
Yeah, now all of a sudden they're just looking old, and no makeup, and they're not enjoying getting ready anymore because he's like, you're not coming out in that. I don't want you in that. I don't want the boys looking at you in that. Of course you want a boy looking at you because you want the boy to say, wow, I want what he have. You understand? But now all of a sudden you're not doing that anymore. He's playing mind games, using guilt to control you and trying to embarrass you in front of people. That's never a good thing.
No.
We are always encouraged to talk positively about our partners, our mates in marriage and in any relationships. You don't ever want the world to be aware of his negative traits or her negative traits. Mind you, they're present, and yes, this is for us to have with our close friends. But when you're out in public, you don't want that. Okay, that's a no-no.
I actually I had an experience like that because I was raised in a household where you would speak negatively about your partner or whatever. And I actually was in a relationship with someone, and they mentioned it to me, and that was the only time I realized that you don't do that. Where they were saying if we're out together, we're presenting a united front per se. Like, you and I know whatever's happening, we might have had a fight or we might be disagreeing on something, but you don't bring that to a public setting. And I didn't realize that you don't do that at the time.
Right.
Exactly.
It isn't even about making it look good. It's a matter of respect.
Yeah.
You understand? You respect me. I respect you. You're my partner. Remember, and see, we keep forgetting this. Our partners are a reflection of us.
Right.
You understand? If you want people to look upon you positively in that relationship, then you need to be speaking positively about that. Like the people that say, speak life.
Yeah.
And speak life in that, no, we're not trying to change these bad behaviors, but you're speaking positively about the person in hopes that it does change, an attitude is brought about as a result of it. So you don't want to get into, saying that, not talking about, you're hiding what's going on. That's not what this is. No. It's a matter of respect. Certain things we reserve for the two of us, certain things we reserve for our close family and friends, and certain things we reserve for when we're out in public.
Right.
And talking negatively about each other is not one of them. Okay,
Greg, I'm interested in hearing your story actually.
So but that's an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah,
and
what do you mean?
You had
described, yeah.
But
he started. He told her.
Yeah, I started. Like I said, I witnessed. My
no. Don't let him off the hook because Greg has asked everybody to tell their story every single show, and I know no stories.
I don't know if you want me to
your
give
experience.
You want me to give you the play-by-play where there was a jab or uppercut or right hook?
Not necessarily. Maybe as
Nyisha
Tilus has.
Okay. Let me put it.
Given her story.
Well,
you said you have a story as well.
What stood out to me was when she said she wished she was a boy because she felt that she could do
protect.
more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I could tell you one thing.
You were a boy.
I was a boy. But my daddy was a man.
Yeah.
You understand? So while you feel as though, and I remember one of the occasions where it was attack on mother and sister, and one night I don't know what happened, but I was trying to get him off and stop that, but only so much a little boy could do at that time. So I called a neighbor for help, but he just tell the neighbor, everything cool, ain't nothing going on or whatever.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's just two instances that I remember standing. I was just one where it was him and my mother, and then the other one where it was him with my mother and my sister. Those were the two.
Were you ever the object of his
of course
frustration?
Well, this is what we explained earlier. We have a culture of beating children, so getting beaten growing up was
for anything. You just getting beaten for anything then.
Well, when I look back at it, there's a lot of things that we got beat for that was like come on, you know what I mean?
So you were getting beaten for everything.
What it is adults taking out their frustrations on their children.
On children, yes.
Because if you're not frustrated and angry, you're not going to hit your children. Yeah. There has to be some degree of anger or frustration for you to build up the nerve to hit a child.
This is true.
And so that's what happens is they just project their frustrations, whatever's going on in their lives, they take it out on their children. Okay. As much as they may try to deny it, this is what you do. Because if you're in a sound, calm mind, you're not going to want to hit anybody. You understand? So that's what it was. It was abuse in the household from, like I said, from my parents and, like I said, beating the children all the time. I tell people all the time, ain't much people told more cut up than me.
I could.
Yeah.
So we have a totem competition.
I had the switch. I had pipe.
I entered.
Water pipe.
Let me tell you.
I had like Wolverine scars.
Let me tell you how psychotic my parents were, right?
Psychotic.
Especially with mother. And I love it. I love them now. I have great relationship with my parents now. Mm-hmm. Growing up wasn't so good.
So how was the transition? Because
what it was is being an adult and maturing and progressing and evolving
and seeing
and having a wider perspective,
experiencing.
It's looking at it like I understand that you had good intentions, but your methods were wrong. Mm-hmm. This doesn't make you a bad person, and this is what I saw all the time, and this is why a lot of people, when I discuss these things with them, they get defensive, and I try to tell them, listen. I'm not saying you, your Grammy, your Annie, whoever was beating you, I'm not saying they bad. They're not bad people. They may have done bad acts with good intentions. They had the right intent, but the act was wrong. So I'm not saying that they are bad people. I'm saying the act itself is bad, because we can agree that someone hitting another person is bad. If we can agree to that, then there's no way you can justify to me that hitting a child is right. Okay. Because the act of hitting someone is a bad act. Okay. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of growing up and seeing and looking at it differently. I forgave them and move forward, and they start to treat you. I guess they have respect for you now as an adult. Mm-hmm. They treat you differently, and so that helps the relationship.
Now you could tear their head off.
No, trust me, ain't enough beating I can put on them to make up for how much beating they put on me.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like I said, I was psychotic. You rolling pin?
Okay.
Oh,
you so one, right?
It's a rolling pin, but she had holes and she had pipe and all this stuff.
And I trust me. And let me tell you the psychology. Let me tell you how psychotic my mom was, right?
Oh, so his mom.
She wanted to beat us, right? And you know what is killing with your parents when you tell them what these stories and later in life
they forget it. Yeah.
Why don't stop running up?
They can't remember it. I think that's add to the trauma.
I remember it.
That's add to the trauma.
They know, and I guess they old and they looking back at it, but it couldn't have been that bad.
They saw it differently.
Exactly in the time. But she wanted to beat us this one time. We had one tree out in the yard. You know the send the switch story, right?
Yeah.
She put a new spin on the send for the switch.
Oh, new spin.
So what she do is she sent my cousin.
Oh.
And that's my cousin. He love us. We love him. That's our cousin. She say, listen, go out there and go grab me one stick to beat these children with. And you know, this the psychotic part, because just playing with his head, because he like us.
Yeah.
So he don't want to get nothing bad. She said, if it break, I could beat you.
Wow.
So
This one was a
I've experienced that. I've experienced that.
Stories upon stories about the amount of people.
But it's good that you guys are able to sit here and talk about it as, you know, as persons on their way to some kind of healing and atonement. Because, you know, you're now going to be entering adult relationships, and you definitely don't want to mirror the experience that you had. And so a part of that is, you know, learning to communicate effectively with your partners. And this is one thing that we stress to teens. How are you communicating? Are you cussing each other over the phone? Right. Are you just slamming the phone down? Are you not talking? You just mad, playing the silent, giving the silent treatment all the time? That's not effective communication. No. It's so much easier just to sit down and say, look, you dude, this ain't working for me right now. Oh, I'm feeling this right now. Oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. Why? Well, because it makes me feel this way. Or because I had a bad experience before that. I think people can understand once we give them something to work with. So this is how you want to proceed in a relationship. And I cannot, and I will continue to stress, parents, if your teenagers engage in some kind of relationship, you need to be involved. I'm not saying you be hover.
Now, how much now?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you be the hover parent, you know, you managing it. Yes, pay attention. Know your child. And know when the changes happen.
Yes, and that's what I tell them.
Be aware.
When it comes to parenting, listen, because they ask me, okay, well, if I shouldn't beat them, how should I deal in this situation? I say, listen, I can't tell you that because I don't know your child.
Yeah.
You have to learn your children what gets them to act a certain way. When you see them look a certain way or say certain things, what they probably going through, you got to pay attention. And I think that's what I just said. Just be attentive.
Just be attentive to your child. Know your child. So when, you know, you see them in the corner crying, when you see your child now covered up in 100-degree weather, wearing sweater, wearing hat, you'd be like, what's going on here? What are you hiding? Yeah, you understand? No, it's not the fashion.
No.
Oh, no. You know, something else is happening. Be aware. Be and know who your children's friends are.
Yes, boy,
you know, that helps too, because those friends are gonna be one line. That's one lifeline for you as a parent, because the child may not want to tell you, but I bet you the friend will.
Yeah.
You understand? They'll be like, you know, Miss Tilus, you know, this happened and they had a fight or something like that, and you'll be like, wow, okay, that's help for you. Yeah. So know them. Yeah. You understand? Don't shun them all. Get to know them.
No.
You know who their parents are as well. Yeah. But that all helps in you understanding your child and noticing any kind of change that you see. And you want your children to be involved in healthy relationships. You want them to be in a relationship where people care about their happiness, where the person believes and trusts them, and where they feel as if they're supported. Their goals are supported, their dreams are supported by this person, they're directing them, you know, and being encouraging and positive about, you know, what it is that they want to achieve. Understanding that they have a life outside of this relationship. Okay, yes, it's you and me, we cool, we hang in some days, but we can't hang every day. Right. You know, I gotta go to soccer practice. You understand? I gotta go help my Grammy. I gotta go to church on Sunday. You know, I gotta do my niece Christmas party. I gotta go do my auntie here. Stuff like this. Understanding and accepting that this person has a life and an identity outside and away from you. Those things are what constitutes a healthy relationship, even as adults. And you know, they will take these into their adult relationships. Yeah. And we minimize the abuse.
Yep. All the time.
You understand? By proceeding this way. And even if we haven't, even if you find yourself in a situation now, you're like, okay, whoa, hold up. This don't feel right. This don't look right. Something's wrong. I need a timeout. Have the confidence. Know that you have the support to leave. Yeah. If not from that individual, then from your family, from your friends. Yeah. From the community. That's why, like I said, we have to continue to talk and let them know that it's okay. You know, sometimes people are ashamed and embarrassed to leave because of whatever reason. And then you may have touched on it earlier as well when, you know, you said your mom kept going back. And you said she had those 3 boys. Taking care of children is not to be taken lightly. It's serious business. Having to provide shelter, having to provide food, having to provide clothing, entertainment, if you will, you want to add in that. Any kind of thing for a child is expensive. And as a woman in a relationship and it's abusive, but that man is your caretaker basically, and you're caring for this family, you ain't gonna be too enthralled to leave that.
You know what is one of the least expensive things to provide that we often don't?
What?
Attention, affection.
Yeah, exactly. Asian. Right.
These are things we don't provide ourselves, but not for free.
Right, and so
those are the things that usually mean the most to them.
Yes, to everybody.
They don't care about
the new, when they're young, the freshest thing.
Jordans, they don't care.
No, but not even. We don't even want that. We just need I'm just talking in terms of basic.
Yeah.
Then the basic necessity food, something hot, tea in the morning, some bread, a sandwich for lunch, and some rice and chicken for dinner.
A lot of people feel like once they do that, that's it.
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
true.
They just feel like, okay, well, I feeding you, you got
the physical provision. Yeah,
you got to pay attention to that relationship.
Exactly.
That's just as important.
And then when that's one of the reasons why I was saying that women stay. Yeah. Because and then if she's unemployed, things are tough now. You have a lot of people walking around unemployed. Tensions are high now because she can't help with the running of the household. So things happen. Yeah. Things are spilling over. People's frustrations are boiling. And you can understand when you see it manifested, and the police having to be called. So I would encourage everyone, communicate, talk, find someone you trust to confide in. Because at times the last few months we've heard, a woman being hacked to death, a woman being shot. There are a lot of women being buried. It's too much for this little community of ours.
If they don't have that person, do you guys do that, or can you
we refer to the crisis center, we refer to the Ministry of Social Services. There's always someone, depending on our reach as individuals, who'll be willing to help. And you always hope that they will. And, people walk around, I don't believe we're all heartless people.
No.
Even if you can't help, somebody they'll go and find somebody who can help you. So I always just say, ask until you're tired. Honest to God, because at times that may be your only saving grace right there.
Yeah.
So I would encourage parents, watch your kids, know your children. If children want to be in relationships, as a parent, I think at this particular age, between 13 and 16, we need to discourage that somewhat. Because, yes, we can discourage, but they will still do, then fine. But at the same time, I think moving forward, the mindset needs to be, you don't need a boyfriend who with you 24/7.
Yeah.
You don't need, you can have a friend.
That's why I think you should more so educate them.
Right.
Have discussions and inform them, provide them with the information.
And you have options.
And hope that they make the right decisions.
Exactly.
Based on the information that you provide. You want to try and guide and influence them
as much as you can.
As opposed to try and control them, because that's where you get them
because
rebelling, you know what I mean?
Everybody wants to be...
no boyfriend, no this, no that.
Everybody want to be loved, yes. I always just tell people, I want to be loved. My mommy love me. You understand? She still love me. At 40, she still love me. I don't need that. I don't need that. You understand? I'm good.
Right.
But, with our kids, you want them to come to that same understanding. You know what I mean? I don't need that love from you that bad that I've been in to sit here and do this. I got my mommy, I got my daddy, I got my sister, I got my brother. So our homes need to be a more friendlier, nicer place for children to find rest from the world we live in.
Nyisha, would you be able to speak to anything on UB campus in your experience and as an ambassador for this cause? Anything about abuse, relationships on campus now? Any details, anything that you were doing, maybe an event or anything you want to share regarding this topic and UB?
So I know at the University of the Bahamas there are some clubs like females that would have
That's
had
the name of the club?
Yeah,
females
that would have had events that just catered toward different scenarios and different aspects of violence, domestic violence.
I was one of their speakers at one of their events.
And I know clubs like the Golden Z Club, which is a branch of Zonta. There are different things happening. The thing is just being able to create that environment and that atmosphere where you can come and talk, and there's the counseling department where you're able to actually go and get free services as a student. Okay. So just ensuring that the students know the resources that are available and feeling comfortable enough to go actually share and know that you can talk to somebody and somebody's there and willing to listen to you. In terms of things that I'm doing,
she is partnered with us. We have conferences in recognition of the 16 days of activism. We're having one here in Nassau on December 5th. Pan American Development Foundation has another one in Exuma on the 6th. We have another conference in Long Island on the 8th, and we have one in Cat Island. And for Cat Island, I'm very, very proud of the work that the community themselves have done. And this is meant to be a celebration of sorts for that community. And
locations for the events, so people know,
Miss Nyisha Tilus will be accompanying me to Cat Island at the Media Center in Knowles' Cat Island from 9 to 2 on Saturday, December 9th. Long Island is December 8th from 9 to 2 at the Community Center in Deadman's Key. We're very excited about Long Island. And Exuma on December 6th.
The mosquitoes are excited for you all too, but go ahead.
Yeah, they're big though, eh? Exuma on December 6th is going to be at the Resource Center in Georgetown from 9 to 4. We have panelists for each of these events coming out of Washington, as well as local facilitators that are going to travel with me. And so we're doing the work. It's a partnership between the Pan American Development Foundation and the government of the Bahamas. And for
people that would like to attend, where can they, is it a paid event or?
No, they're free. All the events are free, please.
That's the price we like to have.
No, there's no price for information. Life-saving information. So this is free.
So for the people that want to attend.
In Long Island and Exuma, in Cat Island, please come out in Cat Island. You can sign up at the administrator's office in Smiths Bay, the police station in Smiths Bay, as well as in Arthurstown at the administrator's office, or at the high school in Old Bight, or at the high school in Arthurstown. In Long Island, it's open to the community. You can go to the administrator's office. Ms. Cleola Pinder will be happy to help you sign up for it. Or you can visit our page. I think it's W.I.N.D, PADF, at padf.org. W.I.N.D at padf.org.
That's email or?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's you have a website or Facebook page?
Facebook?
Where can they find the information for all of these?
Okay, we can see because I can't remember right now. Bad person.
Does PADF have a Facebook page?
Yes, Pan American Development Foundation has a Facebook page. You can go there as well and express your interest in attending either of the seminars. In Exuma, you can sign up at the police station in Georgetown, as well as the administrator's office, as well as social services in Hoopers Bay.
Any in Nassau?
In Nassau for December 5th, well, you can just attend the seminar, the session at the conference center, Paul Farquharson Conference Center, at the police station on East Street.
The
headquarters.
Headquarters.
December 5th. That's Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, bright and early, from 9 to 4. Visit the Facebook page and you can sign up there. And I'm sure I have a Facebook page, but it's somewhere in there.
You can go back on the video and put it in the comments.
Yes.
People still watch the video even
afterwards. This is true. This is true.
Put it in the comments as well.
This is true.
We're going way over hours.
Yes, we did, but this was really good, though.
We must do this again.
Yes, we shall.
Anything else you want to plug? Anything else that you want people to attend, or anything that you're doing that you want people to know about? You want to give some exposure to?
I just want people to be aware that, the government is working to assist you. Our men and women and children who are suffering in silence, we are added on your behalf. We hope that discussions such as these, and our visibility within the community will give you the courage and the confidence to come forward and speak and confide in someone. Approach the authorities if you must, if you need to, and let them know what's happening so that you can get help. Our life on this earth, like a radio co-host, show host said this morning, is very short, and you don't want to live it in fear. No. We all are deserving of having, to live this life to the best and to the fullest as possible, without pain, without hurt, and especially our children. Yeah. So we are here for you. We know what's happening. We know you need help, and we're trying to get that to you as best we can.
Okay. Tilus, anything else you want to plug or put out for people to know about? Anything that you're doing or you'll be a part of, or anything you want to let the people know about before we close out?
Well, in reference to...
And how do we follow your work?
Yes.
Okay, so in reference to following my work, you can add me on Facebook. My name is Nyisha Tilus, or Miss University of the Bahamas.
Now you got to spell like this. You know, we got 400 different ways to spell one name. So you got to spell it for people so they can find it.
Nyisha on Facebook is Nyisha. Last name Tilus, Tilus, and that is my personal page. I give out my personal page because I'm open to anybody that wants to talk and need help. So opposed to just giving the generic page per se, where it's not that personal, where it's just another page. That's how persons feel, so they don't really feel inclined to actually come and say anything or talk to you. So that's why I like to give my personal page, because I like to be that listening ear, because I didn't have that. So I want to be that for someone. You can do my Miss University of the Bahamas page, and you can follow with all the different initiatives that I'm doing, like this one, and anything that involves women, children, I'm there. But I really just want to say, just talk. Just speak out and talk, because for a long time, I did not talk to anybody. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't know about the resources that are out there, and they are there, and they're there for you. So utilize them. Talk to someone. Persons are willing to help. And even with, our community, we don't know what the other person is going through. And we've become so desensitized, and we say we're our brothers and sisters keeper, but we say it so loosely and not actually, understand what that actually means and embody that. That's kind of why we're in the predicament that we're in, because we're saying that it's not our business. But if we are our brothers and sisters keepers, it is our business, and that comes with being socially responsible, because we are responsible, because it's when it's happening to us is when we say we feel it. But if it's somebody else, it's just that person, when really it's all of us. It's all of us. So, utilize all of the services and resources that are available, and talk to someone. It'll help.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you,
so
Nyisha.
Thank you. Wonderful, Nyisha. We appreciate you for sharing your story.
And we appreciate you too, Greg.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's not easy, but no, it wasn't. And you were brave enough to say that, and I appreciate that.
And I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. It's
definitely
a big initiative, and I just want to wish you the best. I'm here to help, and anything that you guys need that I can, be a part of or assist in any way, just let me know and I'll do what I can do. I'm sure Gail feels the same way.
We appreciate you too, Gail. We do, Gail. Thank you. We do, Gail.
So thank you, Latara. Thank you, Nyisha. We appreciate it. Great conversation. Like I said, hopefully we can do this again and get deeper into it. And like I say, maybe we're going to focus on women this time. It was just, like you said, it was everyone.
Exactly, because that's what it is. Everyone's affected.
Exactly. So, once again, thank you, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your comments. Sorry we weren't able to read all of the comments, but we got through. Thanks to Gail, we got through quite a few.
One or two,
comments. Yes, we got through, and we thank you for contributing. Again, continue to follow us, Under the Rug Podcast on Facebook. We're on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/GoUnderTheRug. That's where we upload all the audio shows. We're on iTunes, TuneIn Radio. Also now on YouTube, we upload all the videos to YouTube now, so you can search for Under the Rug Podcast on YouTube, and you can go back to past episodes. You can watch this episode. I try to upload them as soon as possible. So follow us. Website, goundertherug.com. Visit it. We have all the shows on there as well. So just continue to follow, continue to support. We appreciate it. And until next time, thank you.
This was great.
It was awesome.
I'm not so shy about it anymore.